if you're going to be an athlete, like all this stuff is going to sound like I need to do all these things and have all of these, follow all these rules and all this stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, actually you do, because this is, if your goal is optimal performance as an athlete, which everyone says that it is when they're being athletes, and these are the things you have to do. Like there's no option. And all these things, just because like I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not an expert in anything. Like these are just my opinions from experience. And this is what professional athletes that I've talked to, Dalton being the main example, this is the things that they follow. So this is just something that you need to get on board with, whether you want to or not. And if you don't, then you're just going to have a really tough time dealing with it. And I'll get to my own problems with that in a bit. But yeah, that's right. The second one I have, using the day before your games to do the like carb load. Like everyone talks about like you got to fuel up and make sure you have enough carbs. And that's where like the big bowl of pasta thing came in. You don't want to be doing that on a day where you have to actually perform, because it's very energy intensive to digest large amounts of carbohydrates, especially if you're eating more things that are complex carbs, not something that's easy to digest. So easy being like simple sugars, so stuff that doesn't have a lot of fiber involved, or a lot of things that you have to break down when you eat it. So we're talking first, like a simple carb would be things like Gatorade or like white rice, like things that rice cakes, like those really like simple sugars from fruit, usually really easy to digest, quick digestion. So when you're carb loading, a lot of times you'll hear people talk about complex carbohydrates to fuel for your games. You want to load that the day before so your body has time to process it. You don't want to have this huge bowl of pasta in your gut 5 hours before your game. So that's another like rule of thumb to keep in mind before your game day kind of comes up. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Anything on that?
No, I think the amounts that people think they have to carb load or get their carbs in is off the charts as well. Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's one of the things Dalton was saying, and I noticed it in my workouts and stuff too. Like we're so used to eating. I mean, you're raised the way you're raised, and I think, well, I guess in my case, anyways, more is better. Just work it all off and stuff like that. But I find like I've taken my portions, like I love oatmeal, and but I only take small portions of it, and it's more than enough. It gives me energy on a consistent basis. I eat oatmeal almost every day in the morning after a workout, a small, like maybe a third of a cup, and it gives me more than enough energy. So yeah, you don't need to be going crazy with it.
I was gonna make this point later, but I'll make it now. So one of the biggest problems I had playing, I've said this to you a million times, is I didn't know how much to eat and at what time to eat when I had games. So I always thought if I had no legs in one of my games, or like I just couldn't skate, I always thought, man, like I have no energy. I need to eat more. Like I have no energy. When the issue was I was eating too much. I was making this mistake, I just said. I was eating the day of. I thought I needed to load up for my game later, but by the time the game comes, I'm still processing all the food from earlier that day. I didn't have enough time to get through it, so all of my resources are going to digesting rather than using that, like the constituents of the food I just broke down as fuel. I'm still in the processing mode, so you want to avoid that. That's a huge issue that you'll run into if you feel like you have no legs. You got to think about that.
Yeah, so one of the things is you got two different stomachs basically. You got fight or flight, rest and digest, and if it's fascinating. If you don't know, you don't know. But when you're working out, you're putting a stress on your body, or if you're playing hockey, you're putting a stress on your body, and that's your fight or flight. When you eat, you actually have to have time to let that digest, or else it's going to bad places. So you have to, so obviously if you eat a ton, you need a lot more time to digest, and your body actually needs rest and digest. It's very demanding to digest food. So that's another reason why you don't want to overload too much either. Well,
and this is another point actually I wanted to make when I was talking about the carb loading thing. Oh no, that is still what I was talking about. If you'll notice, if you have a huge meal really close to going to sleep, you have a hard time sleeping. Because your body is and you'll feel hot. Like your body will feel really warm when you're trying to go to sleep. So this is just another like side note. To go to sleep, your body has to drop like I think 2 degrees to fall asleep, and you won't fall asleep until you hit that. More or less. That could be a little wrong, but that's the idea. So if you eat a big meal, you'll get warm. Your body starts to produce a lot of heat because you're digesting.
Yes.
So
It's called the thermic effect of food.
that's right. So you'll have a hard time falling asleep because you have so much food in your stomach. And that's why one of the pieces of advice that I give to kids is try to give yourself 2 or 3 hours before you go to sleep to be digested. So the bigger the meal you're going to have for dinner, let's say, the longer time you need before you go to sleep so that it's not affecting your sleep and your recovery.
Yep.
So that's another huge consideration to make on that.
Yep.
Next point I got, unless you had something else. Good?
No, but I'll just add to the sleeping, going to bed at night. So the thing is that you're going to find, and we've probably talked about it before, but whatever, is a lot of times we eat out of habit and out of boredom and out of tiredness, and sometimes you don't know which one it is. So like when I took my nutrition course, the first thing was to understand, ask yourself why you're eating, like ask questions. Why am I eating? So one of the reasons, and when you start, I'm kind of sitting like, this is weird, but when you actually ask yourself why you eat, it's basically off emotions. So if you ask yourself why you're eating and your answer is, well, I just don't know, it's probably because you're bored or you're tired. And I've really noticed, like, I know, like any evening I go to bed early, and any time that I start getting like, I want to just go to the cupboards or the fridge and just have a little snack, that's my cue to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like just skip that piece and go to bed.
Yeah.
Now I got to be a human being with my family sometimes, but I know that I have to fight that. Maybe have a glass of water, which will make me pee. But but you want to fight that because it's your ghrelin or your leptin, one of those levels. One's the fullness, one's the hunger.
Yeah.
Is activated.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're tired, it's I'm hungry. So you go and snack, and then So those are cues.
Yeah, that's what happens. That your ghrelin level starts to fire when you get tired. So if you are just like want to go to bed tired, or if you don't sleep enough, like this is another issue that people, if they don't get enough sleep, then you'll be hungry the whole next day.
That's right.
So, and the reason is because you're tired and your body can't really tell the difference between being tired and being hungry. You just need energy. You feel like you don't have energy. So you can either recover by sleeping or you can recover by getting energy from food.
Yeah.
That's how your body does it. So if you're keeping yourself awake when you're tired, then your only other option is eat. So all your brain signals are going to be like, yo, you need to eat something, man. Yeah. Eat something. And that's where it starts to, you ever been in that, most athletes probably have, where you're in that uncontrollable hunger where like you just can't help but keep eating anything that's near you. And it might not even be something you like or something you want. Like you're just eating gross, weird snacks because you just want anything, And so that's a really important point on the sleep thing too.